Going on, we come to the subject of attitude. We know that since we become what we think about, the most outwardly identifiable characteristic or manifestation of what we're thinking about is our attitude. And we know that a positive mental attitude is an absolutely indispensable prerequisite for success. A study at Harvard University a few years ago amongst executive recruiters came to the conclusion that 85% of everything that a person would accomplish or attain in terms of finance, money, prestige, status, recognition, after they left Harvard University would be based on their attitude and only 15% on their aptitude or ability. In fact, over the years, they have found that there is absolutely no correlation whatever between grade level coming out of high school or university and lifetime earnings, that there is no way that they can match the two at all. The only characteristics that determine how well a person does and how far they go are attitudinal, in at least 85% of cases. The Cox Report on American Business said unequivocally that as many as 94% of the top executives of Fortune 500 corporations attributed their success more to attitude than to any other ingredient. We know that a positive mental attitude is essential for success. We've been told all our lives that we have to improve our attitude, we have to smarten up our attitude, we have to get our attitudes right. We've been told that we have to have a positive attitude, and there are books and tape courses and seminars that tell people to have a positive attitude. So our question has been, why is it that with all of this information, so few people have positive attitudes? We know that if you could buy a bottle of pills at the drugstore and take them along with your orange juice in the morning, the same as you take a vitamin C pill, and have a positive mental attitude all day, everybody would do it. So our question has been, where do attitudes come from? And that brings us to our old friend, expectations. Our attitudes come from our expectations about outcomes. If we expect things to turn out well, we have positive attitudes. If we expect things to turn out poorly, we have a tendency to have negative attitudes. Let me give you an example. Imagine that you live in Los Angeles, and you have put together the most important project of your life, and you are short of funds, and you decide to invest everything that you have in flying to New York to find a backer for your project. And you fly to New York on a Sunday, and you have a whole series of appointments lined up on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And you start off Monday morning, and you go out to see people. And everybody that you go and see turns you down flat, rejects you cold, tells you that they're not interested in your proposal, that it's harebrained, that it's too expensive, that it's ill thought out. And this is the most important project you've ever put together in your life. And you go from interview to interview, and every single person turns you down and shuts the door and rejects you. And this happens all day Monday. And it happens all day Tuesday, and it happens all day Wednesday. And by Wednesday night, you're totally exhausted. You're totally dispirited. You're discouraged. You don't have any energy at all. And you crawl back to your hotel room, and you close the door and pick up the telephone and phone home. The person who picks up the telephone on the other end of the line, recognizing that you're feeling discouraged, says, "Cheer up. Don't feel so bad. It doesn't matter anyway, because we've just won $1 million in the lottery." Now let me ask you, what would happen to your spirits that moment when you learned that you'd won $1 million? Now, would you have to think about it for 10 or 15 minutes? Or would something happen to you instantaneously? Instantly you learned that you'd won $1 million. All your fatigue, all your depression, all of your aggravation, all of the rejection of the last 3 days would disappear from your mind, and the only thing that you would think of is the fact that you had that $1 million and all the opportunity and affluence and possibilities that represented. You'd be filled with energy and excitement and enthusiasm. Now let us say that you had committed yourself to 2 more days of appointments, and you were going to see those appointments through because you're a responsible person. And you go out the next day to your appointments one after another. How much more likely would you be to be successful in those appointments knowing that you had $1 million waiting for you when you got home? How much more enthusiastic would you be? How much more confident? How much more forceful? How much more positive would you be? How much more likely would people be to respond positively to your proposal on Thursday and Friday rather than the way they did on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday? Well, let us assume that you finish your appointments, you jump on the airplane that afternoon, you fly all the way home to Los Angeles, you jump in your car, you race home, you run in the door, you kiss whoever it is that's there, and you say, "Where is it?" And the person says, "April Fool. I was just kidding. I recognized that you were feeling a little bit tired and discouraged, and I thought I would just tell you something to cheer you up." Now, after you had finished strangling whoever it was, you might ask yourself this question: Was your attitude real or not? Were your feelings truly positive and excited and enthusiastic or not? And the answer that you'll come up with was, yes, your attitude was real. Your feelings were real. Your level of energy, your enthusiasm, your vitality, your excitement were all real, because those are not the sort of things that you can artificially manufacture, even though the expectations upon which they were based were totally false. If you can understand the importance of this concept, you'll have one of the keys to understanding why some people are far more successful than others, in that what winners make a habit of doing is manufacturing their own positive expectations in advance of the event. They have an attitude of positive self-expectancy, in that well before something good happens to them, they are expecting something good to happen, expecting the very best to come out of their efforts. They are manufacturing their expectations even though they have no information upon which to base it, which causes them to have positive, enthusiastic attitudes, which causes them to affect people in a positive way and get positive reactions. If we make a habit of always expecting the best to come out of everything that we do, we will have one of the keys to a successful life.